What would you do if God showed up and called you a mighty warrior, but you were hiding in a hole? That is exactly what happened to Gideon. And his response was not faith. It was not courage. It was not even a prayer. It was an excuse. And yet, God used him anyway. To understand Gideon, you have to understand the world he lived in. Israel was in one of the darkest periods of its history. The Midianites had taken over. Every harvest season, they would sweep through the land like locusts, destroying crops, stealing livestock, and leaving the Israelites with nothing. This had been going on for 7 years. 7 years of oppression, 7 years of fear, 7 years of hiding. The Israelites were not living. They were surviving, and barely at that. And it is in this context, in the middle of this darkness, that we meet Gideon. Judges chapter 6 tells us that Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress. Now that might not sound significant to us, but in that culture, it was everything. You thresh wheat in an open field where the wind can separate the grain from the chaff. Doing it in a winepress, a small underground pit, means one thing. Gideon was hiding. He was not being strategic. He was not being humble. He was afraid. And it is here, in the hiding place, that the angel of the Lord appears to Gideon and says 6 words that must have felt like a cruel joke. Mighty warrior, the Lord is with you. Mighty warrior. To a man hiding underground, threshing wheat in secret so the enemy would not find him. God did not see what Gideon was. God saw what Gideon could become. But Gideon did not leap to his feet with confidence. He did not raise his fist and declare victory. He argued with God. He said, "If the Lord is with us, why has all this happened? Where are the miracles our ancestors told us about?" And then, when God commissioned him directly, Gideon pushed back again. "My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. I am the least, of the weakest, of the smallest." And God's response was not a pep talk. It was not a motivational speech. God simply said, "I will be with you." That was enough. But here is where the story gets really uncomfortable. Gideon finally steps up. He gathers an army, 32,000 men ready to fight the Midianites. And then God does something that makes no human sense whatsoever. He tells Gideon, "You have too many men." Too many men. Against an army described in Scripture as thick as locusts. Too many men. God reduces the army, first to 10,000, then down to 300. 300 men against 135,000. Why? Because God said, if you win with 32,000 men, Israel will say they did it themselves. I need you small enough that when you win, everybody knows it was me. God does not always build you up before He uses you. Sometimes He strips everything away so that what remains can only be explained by Him. So what did 300 men do against 135,000? They did not charge with swords. They did not attack at dawn with military strategy. In the middle of the night, they surrounded the enemy camp, each man holding a trumpet in one hand and a torch hidden inside a clay jar in the other. At Gideon's signal, they blew their trumpets, smashed their jars, and shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!" And the Midianite army turned on each other in confusion and panic and destroyed themselves. 300 men. Trumpets, clay jars, and the presence of God. That was all it took. So what does Gideon teach us today? He teaches us that God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. He teaches us that your hiding place is not hidden from God. He knows exactly where you are, and He is still calling you mighty warrior. He teaches us that when God strips things away, your job, your plans, your confidence, it is not punishment, it is preparation. He is making you small enough that your victory can only be explained by Him. And He teaches us that the size of your army does not determine the outcome. The presence of God does. Gideon almost missed his destiny because he believed what his circumstances said about him more than what God said about him. Do not make the same mistake. You are not the least. You are not the weakest. You are not too small. You are exactly who God needs, right where you are.